Hey, welcome to another episode of Bingefest. I'm Kate Conroy, and with me is the lovely and talented Vinnie Civitillo. Coming at you today, we're going to talk about Vinnie's second favorite all-time show, Lois and Clark seasons 2 and 3. Because would you say your first all-time favorite is Lost, and this is
So
your
by the
second, or
time
am
people
I?
see this, they should have seen the show with my five favorite shows. I didn't put Lois and Clark on that. It was a
I
favorite
forgot.
show of mine growing up, but
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Well, I'm not going to amend my intro.
fine. It's fine.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Normally, I mean, in the course of this series, Binge Fest, we haven't really like returned to any shows, I think. But this one is a little special in that Kate and I have been physically watching this together for like a year or two now.
Longer than, I mean, we started watching it when I still lived in New Jersey, I think.
Maybe. Uh,
Think? No,
so
I'm wrong.
like
I'm totally wrong.
Kate on
It,
her
it doesn't
couch,
matter.
me on mine, have been watching this, texting each other like every other
Yeah.
second. Like
Yeah,
so it's a special show, and I definitely want
it
to like
is.
talk. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I'll give you like a 50,000 foot intro, but like you should have seen the episode we did on season one. If you haven't, go back watch that. I think it was our pilot episode.
Yep.
Um, it's a Superman show. It was done in the early 90s, not early 90s, mid to late 90s. Season
Yep.
one was great, but like they decided, and by they I mean Warner Brothers or the ABC decided that they didn't like basically anything about it. So they fired just about everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, like
And that was a shame.
they held on to Lois Clark, Perry, and the parents, and got rid of everybody else, including the writing team and the showrunner and everything. So
Very
season two was
disappointing.
sort of like a new beginning for that show. We
Hmm.
watched season 2 and 3 together, so that's what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. And I will say that they pull a pretty good trick on us because as you may remember from our pilot episode of Bingefest, they kill the best Lex Luthor that there has
Yeah,
ever been.
yeah.
But like with many shows, he didn't really die. Or he died and then they resurrected him, or somebody from a lab decided to figure out some mad scientist.
So for the purposes of the show, he was essentially dead. I mean, the
Yeah,
beauty of it is that like okay, what we were saying there is we're gonna get away from the thing where like every single episode is Lex Luthor, like Lex is
right.
behind like literally everything going wrong. He is not dead, I guess, but at the same time he's no longer behind every single thing going on. Like there may be like two episodes where he comes back just as like a hey, this would be cool if we could get John Shea back and do like any moment we can have with John Shea playing Lex Luthor, let's take it. um
Definitely.
but it's not like he's back. It's not like
No,
he's in the role,
sadly.
running the whole thing, being the problem behind every problem in the show anymore. And
You
how
know
did you
what I
feel
wish
about
that
that? Did you like that like John Shea's Lex
yeah.
Luthor is no longer behind every little thing?
Oh, yes, because that did get a little boring. You need a monster of the week or a villain of the week. Do you know what I mean? And you need like overarching storylines, of course. I miss John Shea. I miss seeing him on a regular basis. It would have been really nice if they had been able to spread out his philanthropy in season one. If he had not been revealed to be the big bad so quickly, John Shea is just such a fantastic actor, and he just tore up the scenery playing Lex. It was really fun to watch him have fun.
Yeah.
So I missed that. So I was really glad when they brought him back and he was just as crazy. Although the bald cap was not was not nice. There was no need for a bald cap on him.
Mm.
You can play Lex Luthor with hair. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I totally think that's fine. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I know other people have done it. What's his name? Gene Hackman played
Gene
Lex
Hackman.
in the first
Yeah.
movie with hair. I think they revealed in the sequel that it was a wig. I can't remember when that happened, but he like pulled off the toupee at some point. But um,
That's right.
yeah,
I forgot about that, but it doesn't
yeah.
matter. Yeah.
And
It,
I
you
want to
know,
say, did Jesse Eisenberg have hair in the? I hated the Man of Steel movie, so I don't know, but
don't remember.
Kevin Spacey was bald in Superman Returns, right?
Don't remember.
I don't know.
Too
Um,
bad.
so I guess there was a seismic shift, as we mentioned, in the both the behind the scenes team and the
Yeah.
on screen team. So how did you feel about that? Like, do you feel like this was a better show than it was in season one, or a worse show than it was in season
I feel like it was not as good.
one?
The tertiary characters, I think, were more than just comic relief because they added players to every story. Like Kat was a really fun character. She
Yeah.
was so unexpected. She was so slutty, I guess. I don't, not to slut shame, but she very much owned her sexuality, and she was a very interesting rival to Lois. And God, what was her name? Our favorite blonde lady, the
Who was blonde
detective,
on?
you know,
Oh, Mason
Mason.
Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, she
I
was
still mean to go back and watch
wonderful.
Wings. I know Wings was like the show where
Yeah.
that actress was on.
Yep.
I would love. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up her name. Um, uh, I
Yeah,
got
I feel
nothing.
like it gave Lois more men to play off of, and I think that did her a disservice because she was always really funny to watch with other women,
Yeah. Tara Fork,
but
by the
with
way, rest in peace.
yeah, that's right. Rest in peace. She was fantastic. I loved her. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I guess I understand why they did it. Something they decided that something wasn't working, and so they decided to retool the show between seasons rather than cancel it altogether. And I guess I'm grateful for that, but I wish that they had not retooled completely.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting you say that. Like they decided something wasn't working and they didn't like the show and they wanted to redo it. When we sit here and we say season one was probably the best season. I
Yeah,
mean, I think I enjoy season two. Like it's entertaining, and
right.
season three. I mean, it has its moments. I loved the new Krypton stuff at the end, but like for the most part, like season three is where we're really jumping the shark, and then by season four, we're just like, we're on the march to cancellation in season four.
I mean, they just drag out the wrong things and go too fast on the right things. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole Clark and Lois getting married thing. That was just it was chaos. It was stupid. The parents fighting was stupid. Lois getting abducted was stupid. I mean,
Abducted, cloned, anything we can
cloned.
do to like throw a wrench into them getting married. I mean, remember when I told you at the beginning of the episode that we talked about Lois and Clark? This was all, they wouldn't allow the comic book writers to marry them in the comics until it had happened on the show. And at this point, I wish I could ask Dan Jurgens and Jerry Ordway and everybody, like all the Superman writers of the time, like, so how are you feeling now at the time that this is going on? Like waiting. All right, great. We got that wedding episode coming up because they had been planning their wedding in the comics for years. Like even before Lois and Clark was a sparkle in anybody's eyes, they were building towards that story. And then they were told, no, you got to stall for as long as they're not married on the show. And then finally, in season four, when these two people get married, yes, a little spoiler there, but it happens. Um, that same day that the episode airs on television, the comic book hits the stands with them getting married. And I was like, I wonder how they felt. Like, oh God, she's a clone. We can't do it. Like, oh God, she's abducted. We can't do it now.
Wait, they didn't pull the book, did they?
So they weren't allowed to finish that story until Lois and Clark were married on the show. So they had been building in the comics to them getting married. Like they got engaged before Lois and Clark even started. Like
Right,
that was the thing they were building towards. And then they were told stall until we tell you it's
right.
okay. Like until, and that was 4 or 5 years later. So they had to stall all that time. And I can just only imagine being the writer looking forward to this wedding so that we can finally do our thing. And then it
It
being like a
was
trick, like, oh, it was just a clone. Sorry, no, you can't marry.
But you said that the comic book hit the stands the same day as the wedding episode. The first wedding or the second wedding?
The real, what winds up being the real wedding, like the season
Okay,
4, like actual wedding of Lois and Clark, is
okay.
when the comic book comes out.
I thought you meant the first wedding.
Oh,
Like they were somehow not given the spoilers.
yeah, can you imagine? Sorry, we did it. No, your
Yeah,
thing is going to have to be a clone too. Sorry.
well, I was like, did they have to pull the book from the shelves because that would have
That would
yeah.
have made
How
for a
could they
very valuable issue, right? Like, if it all got recalled. Yeah.
seriously?
That's
Yeah.
only happened
Anyway,
like a few times in comic book history that I can think of. Yeah.
damn. All right, so I want to go back to one of the things you originally said that prompted this rewatch, and that is that Teri Hatcher plays Lois as an absolute lunatic.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree that you're wrong.
Whoa.
More
Whoa.
more
That's
often
laying down some wow. I want to
more
hear a
often
justification of that.
than
Actually, for me, what prompted wanting to do this rewatch is that forever and ever Lois and Clark was in standard definition, and in the last couple years, it was upgraded to high definition. And so I wanted to watch it for that. But it's interesting that they did it because like they couldn't go back and redo the special effects of the show. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but like every time a special effect happens on the show gets noticeably blurry because like it's in high definition and then suddenly it's not. But but yes, I want to hear all about how Lois is not a lunatic because Lois is like
dude, we talk about it all the time in text. Like other people are lunatics. Like a lot of the
I don't
mad
think in
scientist
text we've
women.
ever given Lois a pass on being a lunatic.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find the receipts because you're gonna have to admit it. She, Teri Hatcher, consistently plays Lois as soft spoken. She's always like, oh, but Clark, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? I don't know if I can, blah, blah, blah. And
Are we
the,
watching the same show? Like when
yes,
we say hit play now,
yes,
am I watching Lois and Clark and you're watching like Bridgerton or something? Like what is
let
happening?
me
Like
finish. And the villains who are women, or actually all of the villains, they are the lunatics. The woman
yeah, they're
who we
crazy, but
just
she's crazy
right.
too.
No, she's 100% not. There's bad writing. There's a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of bad writing
sure.
on Lois and Clark, but she is almost never the lunatic. And I think the reason is because there are so many lunatic bad guys that there has to be like a juxtaposition. It would be weird if like she was also a lunatic. You know
I
I'm
don't even
right.
know who I'm talking to right now. Like, how
You know I'm right.
or not. I mean, I'm not saying that the characterization is bad. Teri Hatcher's Lois Lane is probably my favorite Lois Lane, and this is a character that I love dearly. Like,
Yeah,
um,
it's iconic.
but she's objectively crazy. Like, and
And
when you
she's
say like
not.
Lois is soft spoken and she's like Clark,
She
what are we
is.
gonna do? Lois puts her foot down all the time and is like, this is
She
what I'm doing, and
does.
Clark's like, no, you're gonna stay here while I do this. And the second he leaves, she's like, well, what he forgot is that I never listened to him. Like
Okay, okay. So are you equating lunacy with making bad choices? Because it's so originally when I it seemed like you were saying that she was a lunatic because she was shrill and screaming and like, like making like being
she's a
crazy.
lunatic because she's batshit crazy. Like she's a
No, she's a reporter. She's an intrepid
reporter.
reporter and she's going to
Yes,
follow the story.
very good at her job. I'm not putting that down at all. I don't know if she has a Pulitzer Prize in this canon or if she is trying to get one. I don't know. She has that whole case of the awards.
No,
Not
she
saying
was
she's a bad
remember
journalist at all, but like,
she wasn't going to get married until she had her first Pulitzer.
yeah, she's okay. I think a lot of Lois's lunacy on the show comes from insecurity. I wish I had more
Yeah.
concrete examples that I could give you, but I didn't think I was going to have to defend this. Like, I thought this was like
I
her
can't believe we're not on the
primary
same
character
page.
trait was that she was batshit crazy.
Ugh. Hold on a second. I wonder if I can find it because I remember saying to you, she's actually not a lunatic.
I'm
And you were
sure if
like,
I
I know.
search my text for you for the word lunatic,
I'm doing it right now.
900, like it'll come up with like 900 examples of it in
I'm
just
doing
our
it right now.
okay.
Lunatic.
Take all the time you need. If there's a dead air gap, I'll cut it out. I want to hear this.
Baddie of the week, lunatic. That is the only time.
No.
Mhm.
Did you get a new phone and it like cleared out the old
No,
texts?
baddie of the week, lunatic. Is she a witch? Mad
Sorry.
scientist? Probably a scientist.
Oh my God, you're right. That is the only time that specific word has come up. No, 37 out of 37 results found. Sorry. Okay, here. It's a lot less than 900, but like, hold on.
Wait, why is your phone finding them and mine not?
Lois equals lunatic. That was petty, and I love it. Um, the better question is how do the boots fit under the work clothes? Lunatic. Um,
Oh, I see them. Talk about Shelley is giving psycho. Speaking of lunatics, she's kind of a lunatic.
my favorite thing. She was a lunatic when she barged into the building. Uh,
If you told season one Lois she'd turned down a marriage proposal from Superman, how
Here we
many
go. I
pockets are
wrote,
in a
he
leotard?
loves me. I know it. Quote, Lois and Glenn Close from Fatal Attraction. And you wrote 100% lunatic. Mad Dog Lane.
Excuse me.
Here's another one where I said, boom, lunatic. And you said, Lord, lunatic.
But I don't know that we were talking about Lois.
We had to have been talking about Lois. I wouldn't
No.
describe anyone else that way.
Yes, you did. We totally did. In fact, the most recent one, the mad scientist, the woman who was shrinking people, she was a
Yes, oh,
lunatic.
fine. She was
We
also a
both,
lunatic.
we both did.
But I thought we were talking. I mean, it's a shame because I don't have the context of
I
what we
know,
were
hate
responding to when we called people lunatics. However, like we could have been talking about that, and then suddenly Lois does something crazy, and we're like lunatic. Okay, I'm not going to
Okay,
admit that I'm wrong on this one, but I am a little
you are.
shocked to hear that
You
like
totally
Lois is
are.
not a lunatic in your eyes. This is like her
She's
primary
not.
character trait to me.
No, she's
I mean, she's a
totally not a
very
lunatic.
insecure character. That carries over even into season 4 when they're objectively in love. Um,
Yeah.
and she's like, I don't know, but like you're
Excuse me.
Superman and I'm just Lois. Oh, but Lois, I love you so much. That's part of what makes season 4 so hard to watch is that it's the romance gets dialed up to 11 and it's just that score they play whenever they're like in a romantic mood.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna you're gonna hear that like the whole season. Like it never comes off of that. Like I don't know.
So gross.
I love the first few episodes of season 4 because they like wrap up the new Krypton story arc with like their General Zod. Sorry, we shouldn't talk
I
about season 4 because
I
that's going to
will
be
say that there have been some really, really, really fun guest stars, like legitimate famous people
yeah.
from the pre-90s era showing up as their older selves, and these people are now dead, like long dead. Leslie, oh my God, Leslie Jones? God
No,
damn, why can't I think of his name? So many people, so many fun character actors. Um, yeah, super fun to watch these people. God, what's his last name? Is it Leslie Jones?
Leslie Jones is the
Wait,
one from Ghostbusters.
yeah.
Patty, the
Jordan, Leslie Jordan.
okay.
I love him. He's an American treasure,
Was
and
he the
he's
one
dead
that was
now.
in like two different episodes? He was like the Invisible Man, and then I
Mm-hmm.
guess they loved him so much they bring him back as
Mm-hmm.
like another character entirely, and it's just up to us to like pretend that we're not
It's
watching like
amazing.
some dude play an entirely different character. That's happened
It's
a lot in
amazing.
shows. You didn't watch Hannibal, right?
No.
Yeah. Um, I'm not gonna say you should watch that show because it's really dark, but like there's an actor who plays you watched Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
The doctor who like the doctor who presides over Lecter in the mental hospital
Yeah.
or psychiatric prison, whatever you want to call it. He comes back later as the villain from Red Dragon, like Francis Dollarhide, and it's the same actor but not the same character. And so that confused the hell out of me because I thought objectively what they were trying to say was that that guy was the Red Dragon. And they're like, no, this is a totally different character. And I'm like, how do you do
That's
that? Like, how do you just in the
yeah.
course of a show bring somebody back,
Decide.
especially an important character, to play in another important character? It's not like this Leslie Jordan guy was not like a generic looking person. Like they fired
Yeah.
Jimmy in season one because they were like, he looks too generically like Clark. This guy was not generically like the second he
Didn't,
pops
by
up
the
on
way.
screen, I'm like, that's that guy. you know? Yes, and you're
That's
right.
so
Didn't
funny.
I can totally tell the difference
Didn't.
between Jimmy Olsen and Clark Kent, but yeah,
Yeah. One wears glasses, I mean.
yeah.
Wait.
Every
Okay.
opportunity they get in this show, they're like, but by the way, did you know that Dean Cain was like an athlete who was ripped like a god?
That boy is always taking his shirt off. He
Yeah.
sleeps naked. He's always in the shower. He's always playing basketball with his
Yeah,
bow,
they do all those
whatever.
cold opens where like now we're playing football, now we're playing baseball, now we're playing
Playing
basketball.
baseball with myself. I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw the ball, run, pick up the bat, hit it, and then run and catch it. Because
yeah.
I'm
And then I'm gonna
boring.
run back, be the runner running, and I'm gonna be the guy like catching it at first, you know? Yeah.
Like, okay, so let's just okay, I just have to comment on this because it's so stupid. Like, the point of sports is to like be with friends and, right, hang out with friends and have some beers and like hit a ball or whatever. Or the point of sports is to work out. Like he's not doing either of those things. He's just being boring.
Yeah, I mean, it would speak to the loneliness of the character. Um,
Oh my god, he's got friends now. Jimmy is in his life. Jimmy would play baseball with him.
but Jimmy wouldn't play baseball in the way that Clark can play baseball.
Oh
Did
my
you watch
god.
Lois and Clark season four? You watched season three, right?
Yeah, we just said.
Sorry, sorry, Superman and Lois. Did you watch
Oh,
Superman and Lois, the final season of Superman and Lois?
no, not yet.
So there is a flashback episode where they go over the relationship with Clark and Jimmy is inviting him to play softball with the Daily Planet staff. And Clark is like, I can't do that. Like, I'm gonna hit the ball into the sun. And Lois is like, just be bad. Like, go in there and
Yeah,
like miss or just have
yeah.
fun. Be like, and like Clark gets so excited. He's like, oh, I can bunt. Um, but he can't like be that guy who's like gonna have fun. Like, oh, I'm gonna hit the ball and I'm gonna go catch it and I'm gonna run. Like nobody knows he's Superman, so he can't do
Boo hoo. I'm sorry, but come on.
that. Yeah. I don't
No.
know. Like we said, it's not fantastic writing in Lois and Clark seasons 2 and 3. It's
Or poor
entertaining.
Superman.
Some episodes better than others. Like I think it it doesn't need to be a 23 episode show. It had to be at the
No.
time because that was all you had. But today it would be I think a lot of shows from that era would have been better if they were just like 14 episodes. But if Lois and Clark
Oh
season 2
yeah.
was like 14 episodes, you could have had the story arc with Intergang and Mayson Drake and
Yep.
sprinkled in like your Return of Lex mini story arc,
Yep.
sprinkled in like little things
Yep.
here and there, um sprinkled in like um the romance between Lois and Clark finally coming to a head and her figuring out it was him. um One of my favorite
Yeah.
episodes of this whole series, I think, was season 2. That was the one where they H.G. Wells becomes a character on this show, takes them into the future or into the
So
past.
crazy. And
And
his parents are there in the
yeah.
old west.
Oh no, wait, that's not this one. Wait, was that this one?
No?
Ugh. I don't know. I'm talking about it. It might have been. I'm having a hard time because they did the H.G. Wells thing a few times throughout the series, but the one where they're in Smallville in 1966 and Tempest has the glasses on and he's like, the most galactically stupid woman ever. Watch, I'm Clark Kent. I'm Superman. Duh. like, um,
That was funny.
it was hilarious, but maybe like one of my favorite moments in any Superman show is that H.G. Wells delivers like the explanation, so to speak, for why Lois doesn't see through this. And he's like, love is blind, like, and I was like, oh, that is perfect. Like obviously if this was real life, no amount of love is gonna, if anything, being in love with somebody, you're gonna obviously see like, oh, that's the person I love in a pair of glasses. But
Dude.
if we are going to suspend our disbelief and believe that a pair of glasses, a hunch, and like not being able to open a peanut butter jar is going to disguise the Man of Steel, that was as good of an answer as we're ever going to get for why.
It's a terrible answer.
It probably is from a real life realism perspective, but if we're
Right.
talking about like the context of a comic book show,
Sure.
sure, you know, yeah.
Sure.
Um,
You want to talk about her haircut?
yeah, that was awful. Was that just season three? Was that season two as well? Was it season two and then they no season two? I feel like she still had the good hair because she
Yeah,
had to compete with Mayson Drake, and there was no way that Clark would have picked Lois Lane with that haircut. I mean, there should be no reason that Clark should have picked Lois over Mayson Drake. Just period. Like
100% agree. 100% agree.
I
Yeah.
love both that character and that actress. Like she was more than Clark Kent ever deserved.
Yeah.
What is the
Yeah.
Dark Knight thing? It was like she is the woman that Clark Kent needed, but not the one that he deserved. You know, Lois is the one that he deserved, but not the one he needed.
Fun.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I want to watch Wings just so I can gush over Farrah Fork here.
She was beautiful. I did watch Wings
Uh,
way back in the day. It was
how was it?
wonderful.
I
It
don't
was a
know.
great show. It was a good show. It was in reruns by the time I got to it in college. And so I would watch it like in the mornings on reruns. It was great.
Yeah, I want to watch. If nothing else, like I told you in an episode prior to this, that I want to watch Cheers one day because Lilith is in there. There's an episode of Wings where Lilith shows up, so I totally want to check that out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, Frasier and Lilith show up in Wings, so
Was
it's
it a
one
crossover
episode.
episode?
Planes,
Why?
Trains, and Traveling Cranes. That's the name of the episode. Weird that I
So
remember.
the cranes show up on Wings. They must have
Yes.
both been NBC shows.
Wings was a spin-off of Cheers. I don't know why because I don't watch Wings, but I know for fact that Wings is supposed to be a spin-off of Cheers.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
I
There
guess
might
it
have been
makes sense
other
because
Cheers crossovers on that show. I don't know.
well, Cheers was set in Boston and Wings was set on Nantucket, which is, where people in Boston go on vacation, I guess.
Okay.
Wow, I need to think about that. I think maybe I knew that and I forgot it.
I'm
All right, but like back to her haircut. Every
gonna Google it
single
just so I can bring
episode,
this up. Lois
yeah.
Lane, Lois and Clark,
So,
season
like, not
two.
only did she get a haircut,
She
but
had the good hair in season
she
two.
thought it looked good enough that as it grew out, as hair naturally grows out, she kept trimming it. Like she kept there, she
I don't
didn't
know because it
decide it.
does get like a little better over the course of the season as it gets a little longer. I mean,
Yeah, but
I'm gonna tell you right
22
now,
episodes.
it's even worse in season four because as
How
short
can
as
it
it
be
was in season
worse?
three, she makes it even shorter in season four. Um, which was weird because like it felt like the whole year they were like, okay, we regret doing this, let's grow it back out. Which, by the way, is what a wig is for. But
Or extensions.
I don't know. But yeah, it was an awful idea just because Lois's hair was so iconic in those first couple
Sure.
years. And I
Yep.
know that they hated everything about the show, but Lois's hair was not one of the things that needed to go.
No, I agree.
Um, it's not the Rachel. Like I know the Rachel was a big thing in Friends in the 90s. It wasn't that, but it was very close. It was similar. Like it was like that shoulder-ish length hair.
Yeah.
I don't know what distinguishes the Rachel. Does it have to be the curl, the turn? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't speak hair.
Yeah, I never had the Rachel, so I have no idea. But yeah, I'm looking at pictures and you're right. Her season one and two hair was so iconic. And then she just decided to burn down the house.
And then Google Lois and Clark Lois season four, and then just look at that hair. Actually, in the publicity photos, this it's not that bad, but it's still even shorter than it was in three.
Oh God.
Yeah. Actually, as I searched that Lois and Clark Lois season four, Erica Durance comes up for some stupid reason. I guess because she premieres as Lois Lane in Smallville season four. She was another one that I thought made an amazing Lois Lane. Not that we need to go down the Smallville rabbit hole right now. We can do a whole episode on
No.
Smallville one day. Oh my god!
Yeah. It
So
reminds me
because
of
I
like the
searched Lois Lane, Lois and Clark season four, so many of the pictures that are coming up for me are there was this episode where Lois Lane gets caught in the rain in season 4 wearing nothing but a white t-shirt. And I guess because in the 90s it was standard definition and we had like CRT TVs, there was no way you were going to see anything. And when they
But
upgraded
you
this to
can
HD,
now?
and now it's funny that like that became like this iconic photo that everybody's like, that's the only thing worth watching in Lois and Clark season 4, which is not true.
Damn.
Some of my favorite episodes of the show are in Lois and Clark season 4, even though season 4 is a bad season.
What in the rain?
Dead Lois walking.
Oh.
I'm like,
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
Do you
So
have
the
any like?
haircut reminds me, sorry, the season
No, no, no.
four
Go ahead.
haircut reminds me of the Gwyneth Paltrow haircut in the 90s, that very slicked back,
Do they call this a
boyish.
pixie cut? Is that what that was?
I think so. I
Ugh.
had that haircut at one point. It was bad.
I'm not saying that it doesn't work for some people. I'm just
It
saying like
worked for
her
me.
hair was so good in seasons 1 and 2. Why would you ever mess with that? Like if I was Teri Hatcher, I'd still have that haircut. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, to move
Good
beyond the hair.
heavens. Yeah. Okay.
um so did you have any episodes that stood out for you this year? Or in both years, really? Like I mentioned the
I was
H.G. Wells
really
thing and the new Krypton stuff was really cool.
I was really frustrated with the whole story arc where she was abducted and
Yeah.
brainwashed. And
Yeah.
then they put her in that mental institution. I mean, not really. And then the doctor was like, "You're quite attractive. Maybe you
Yeah.
should stay here forever."
I remember there was a text I got from
Like,
you that was like, if Lois doesn't regain her memory in the next episode, I'm not watching another episode of the show.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
bad. It
Yeah.
was actively bad. And then Clark is her fiance, and the doctor is like, "You really need to stay away as much as possible." And Clark was like, "Okay, I guess I'll do that."
I
Like,
mean,
bad
at
writing,
that point, there's no reason for him to believe that the doctor is evil. Like at
I
least in the
suppose,
beginning, like,
but
if the doctor is telling him this is what needs to happen for your wife to regain her memory, I mean, at least at first, I would be like, all right, if that's how it has to be so that she can regain her memory, I want to be on board with whatever needs to happen. But like after a while, it becomes obvious like he's trying to get with his wife.
yes, like, okay, if I'm the doctor, not only is that just wildly inappropriate, but like,
Yeah.
just set that aside for a second. Do you really want to get with a woman who actively has amnesia? Because at some point, maybe it'll
I
come
mean, it's
back and
1990s Teri Hatcher. You shoot your shot where you can.
ah, you're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. Obviously, shoot your shot.
Like within that episode, like or within that like course of those few episodes, everybody is like, "Holy shit!" Like the doors are open. Like Clark's out of the way. Like, Lex Luthor
Yeah.
comes out of nowhere and like gets with her. Like the doctor's trying to get with her.
Oh my God. How about Justine Bateman as
Zara.
Kryptonian?
Yeah.
Zara. Yeah, that was crazy.
Um, what's funny is that I don't know Justine Bateman from anything else. Like I know she was in Family Ties.
What?
I can't think of anything else that I ever saw that she was in, except that I loved this growing up. So I don't know.
She was in a really funny sitcom called Men Behaving Badly.
Huh. Her brother is one of my
And
favorite actors. Like I think Jason Bateman is
yes.
both hilarious when he's in a comedy and amazing when he's in a drama. So.
Yep. God. Okay. It started as a British sitcom, and then I guess it became an American sitcom. And Ron Eldard was in it, and Justine Bateman, and they were like roommates. I don't know. It was funny. Oh my gosh, Rob Schneider was in it, which I did not remember. Ken Marino, he's in everything. My God.
Apparently, she was in Desperate Housewives. That's another one that I think I watched like the first few episodes and I meant to continue it, but I didn't.
We should do a an episode on Desperate Housewives because I've
I'd be game
never
for
seen
that.
it.
Yeah. You want to make that the next show?
Sure, let's do it. Wait,
Um,
let's make sure that we can watch it on Like I don't know where it lives.
I own the series. I know that. I've just never gotten around to watching it.
Wow, look at you,
Yeah.
braggy. I'm kidding.
That's a
Kidding.
weird flex. Like I own Desperate Housewives.
I know exactly.
um,
So yeah, like if you're looking for that nostalgia, that 90s, the 90s fashion, oh my gosh. And his parents are just as adorable. Like thankfully the shakeup in every other aspect of this show did not impact how adorable Clark's parents are, which is
or the
really
actors who
nice.
played them, which
Oh God.
I mean, the
I was
two of them and
oh
Perry, I think, are the only recurring non Lois and Clark actors who got to stick around. Because like even Lois's parents were
yeah.
recast. Um, which
Yeah.
was I'm not gonna say that like I would have preferred the original Lois parents. I mean, we only get to see Lois's mom for a brief instant in season one during the wedding episode.
I forgot
She's
about
played by
that.
Phyllis Coates, who was Lois Lane in the 1950s,
Oh
which is
yeah,
really
that's right.
cool.
Yeah.
But Lois's dad was like a villain in one episode, that boxing thing where he's like making the
Yeah,
robots out of people, and then
that's
that gets
really cool.
retconned. Like they never talk about that again. Like
Yep,
which I get changing the actor, but like, did you have to like completely change the backstory of all these characters too? Like, it's
totally.
weird, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But I
stupid.
am glad that like Kay Callan and what was it, Eddie Jones was the name of
I
Clark's
don't
dad?
know.
Yeah, Eddie Jones. They got to stick around.
Yeah. I was gonna say no, I think his name is Jonathan.
Yeah, right.
Eddie Jones.
um
Yeah, they're really fun.
I loved the ending, like Clark leaving Earth and telling everybody like what was it? He says Emerson says that self-confidence is the true essence of heroism. So I leave knowing that a world full of heroes has nothing to fear. I thought that was beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Did they did they think that that was going to be the series ender? Did they know that
I
they would
don't
pick it up for
know.
season 4?
I don't know. I think it actually works as a really good series finale. Like he's gonna
I
leave Earth,
agree.
he's gonna go save New Krypton, he can never come back. Um,
And I
but I can't imagine that if they didn't think they were gonna come back, they would have ended it on like Lois and Clark not being together, especially
well,
after so long of holding the comic book writers hostage, being like, "You're not allowed to marry them." Like, I feel
oh
like
my God.
if they knew they were ending, they probably would have ended it on the wedding. I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um, yeah, that's a good
The
question.
it I would have loved it because it would have felt very real. Like
Yeah,
not everybody gets a happy ending. Not
yeah,
everybody gets to marry Superman.
yeah. Or
It would have
in Superman's case, not everybody gets to marry Teri Hatcher in the 90s, you know? Like he
yeah,
got downgraded to Justine Bateman. I'm not saying she's awful, you know, but she's not Teri Hatcher. You know? Like,
she's not. Do you want to talk about that plot line for a second? Because
sure.
they were married as babies? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what?
Well, like arranged marriage, is that so
I
crazy? You know, I don't know.
no, it's not, but
I'm not saying it conforms to like Lois Lane and Clark Kent's, you know, cultural like whatever, but it's not crazy to say like, oh, they arranged marriages between royal families, you know.
they
I
did.
thought it was stupid the way it was done, where like he put the thing on the ship that was like, oh, if you're touching this, then it means that the two of you found each other. There
That's
was no
right.
reason for Jor-El to believe
That's
that.
right.
Oh, well, wait. I guess maybe not. I guess I can accept that there's a reason for Jor-El to believe that there was a possibility that these two people remotely could maybe find each other, because the way that Zara explains it, they were sent on some expedition before Krypton blew up. But does that mean that we're building this ship with that in mind? Like, you know, because there's a place for
No.
their two hands. Like, because my understanding of this was that it was, and this is the Superman lore in general, that this was a last ditch effort. Like, the world is blowing up, there's only seconds to go. We don't have enough time to save like the whole civilization. We don't even have enough time to save ourselves. But we've got this prototype ship sitting around and we can fit our baby in it. And as crazy as it sounds to put a baby in a rocket and send it off into the stars, not knowing if it's going to be okay, that was our only option. You know, like by putting the
So,
hand thing next to each other, we're saying that there was a certain premeditation to building this ship. You know, I don't know.
okay, I have a question because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it just doesn't make sense to me. So, Zara and 1,000 other people are sent off into the universe to explore and find a new home for Krypton.
Yeah.
The home planet has zero connection with them. Like they have all this technology, space travel, and they can't like communicate at all. Because if it were me sending my baby off, I would program the pod to catch up with those thousand other
To go
people.
to New Krypton, right? I mean, or wherever they happen to be. Yeah, sure. That's a good question. That's a good point. I think the whole New Krypton thing in general, while I like the story arc, does not make sense. Like it. Um, yeah,
All right, thank you
we're
for
just
not telling me.
looking for
Thank
a
you.
way. Yeah, we're just looking for a way to do a General Zod story, which, and I don't know why they didn't just call him General Zod. I don't know if at that point Terrence Stamp's portrayal of General Zod was sacred and we just couldn't have somebody else play him, so we named him Lord Nor or whatever. But like,
Parent stamp is sacred,
I mean, there
but
have been people since who have played General Zod. Michael Shannon played him.
oh yeah, that's right,
Michael
Michael Shannon.
Rosenbaum. I don't remember the
Yeah,
name of the guy who played him on Smallville after Michael Rosenbaum, but there was somebody else.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not as sacred as I think. Like maybe they were thinking. I don't
Yeah,
know. It
I
can't be a
don't.
rights thing because they have the rights to the characters for sure. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't just name him General Zod.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if nothing else, just to like get people hyped, like, oh, Zod's going to be on the show. And
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, season four could have used it. Like, season four could have used a little bit of General Zod. There's a
I
really good
mean,
Christmas episode in season four featuring one of my favorite Superman villains, Mr. Mxyzptlk. And there's some fun stuff with H.G. Wells. And I think that might be about it. This show is going to
it
end not deliberately. Like there's going to be a cliffhanger and it's never going to get resolved. Like that's how season four is going to go for you. But I
is it a full 23 episodes?
think so, yeah.
Damn.
If you want, we can skip around. We can watch like the Christmas thing. We can watch the new
No.
Krypton. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. All right.
In for a penny, in for a pound. I
There we
want to
go.
see
That's what
it.
I want to hear. The beauty of
Because
it is that when this is all done, you get to decide like what we're gonna watch after that. Like what you and I are gonna be on the couch watching like after Lois and Clark is done. Because this was a
it's
me-centric show. So
exciting.
don't get too
I
British on me, but like
no, no,
you
no,
can
no. I
decide.
think actually, it might be lost because
Oh,
then I
all
can answer. I can ask all my questions in real
right.
time.
All right. I'm game for that. Um,
Plus, there's like I don't know, 5 or 6 seasons, right?
Six.
That'll keep us
Six, but a
busy for a
couple of them
while.
are halves, like because they had to
That's true.
negotiate getting off the air. But
Yeah,
anyway, so Lois and Clark seasons two and three. I guess we're generally not recommending.
and if you are sort of nostalgic for the 90s, I
Okay.
mean, I enjoy the fashion. I enjoy like it's funny because even in men's fashion, it changes. And so the the shape of your tie, the width, the cut of the suit, you can tell that something was made in the 90s. And if you're nostalgic for stuff like that, if like watching Lois pound away on her like computer, it's so funny. It's just adorable. So if you like stuff from the 90s, it's a great show to watch just to enjoy.
And I mean, also, if you're nostalgic for this, like I would actually say that Lois and Clark seasons one and two hold up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Three and
They do.
four, three less so, four really less so. But
Yeah.
seasons one and two are probably some of the best Superman related,
Mm-hmm.
shows and movies. I think if I was going to show my daughter, this is weird. I have not yet shown my daughter like anything Superman related. Like she's watched a couple episodes of this because we were watching it and she
Yeah.
walked in and I was like, "All right, you can watch." But like there hasn't been a Superman thing that I could show her and be like, "This is Superman." Like
Right.
if I show her the Christopher Reeve thing, she is asleep before they leave Smallville. Like there's like 45
Right.
minutes on Krypton, there's like another hour in
I
Smallville. It's like
know.
2 hours deep into that movie before Superman actually shows up.
It's
Um
yeah.
so like
Yeah.
no on that regard. Superman Returns, you really need to see Superman 1 and 2 for that to like work. And it's deep. Like that's an adult movie, not an adult movie in the sense of like sexual whatever, but an adult movie in the themes. Like it's about like reconnecting with the one that got away and the world moving on without you. Those are adult themes. Like a kid is not going to like grasp onto that.
It's
And then Man
true.
of Steel just sucks. Like
Yeah.
there's no reason for anybody to watch the Zack Snyder Superman.
He was so
first.
stupid.
Yeah.
Superman Returns, that's the one I like, right?
Yes. But
I'm gonna
what I
see.
am saying is we like it because we're adults and we can appreciate
Yes.
adult themes. They tried to make like a good film versus like a Superman action movie that I think a kid would have liked more. This
I
Lois
just,
and Clark might be the closest thing that I could say you could show like a kid and be like, here, check out Superman. At least
oh
for
yeah.
a couple of years, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if there's anything that's gonna capture her imagination in an appropriate way, it's this show.
Yeah. Because I
I
would say
mean, the
even Superman
characters,
and Lois, like the most recent show, I mean, even that's I don't know that I would
no,
want to show her that. Not to say that
no.
I couldn't. Like it's not like an R-rated show, but
No,
it's
but there are adult themes. I
yeah.
mean, the employment stuff that's going on in Smallville and
Yeah.
Lana's parents,
I
or
mean, they
no,
did an
is it?
entire season on breast cancer. Like an entire
Yeah,
where the villain, the villain of season 3 of that show is stage 3 breast cancer. That's
right.
deep, you know?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't show a kid Superman and Lois Smallville.
So I guess we're recommending Lois and Clark after all. Definitely
Yeah,
check it out if you know
I think so.
if all that sounds good to you. And for next
It's good
time, what
shit.
did we say we're watching next time?
What did we say we're
Desperate
watching?
Housewives.
That's right.
Yeah, Desperate Housewives season 1. Let's say.
All right.
All right.
All right. Sounds good. Nice. All right, Vinny.
All right.
We'll see you next time.